yarnivores and spiderettes and yarn lovers. Fiber Spider back again with another unboxing, reveal, review just for you. And today I'm going to go into more depth with the pin looming that I recently got addicted to. Yes, I'm still going to do my crocheting and my knitting tutorials and that sort of thing. Yes, don't get me wrong, but I think it's fun to branch out. So the last video that I did was with the Zoom Loom, which is a pin loom. I'll put a link in the description box down below, so that you can find the little video that I did on this. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I think it's awesome. The only limitation to this that I did have a little problem with was that it works best with a weight of 3 yarn or smaller. And my stash, which I'm sure most of you know is quite overwhelming, my stash of yarn is predominantly worsted weight. And I was really hoping that I could dig into the stash and eliminate some of it by making up squares with this. It wasn't going to happen. The worsted weight yarn, it's too thick for this particular loom. So with that being said, I went on to Etsy and I found a seller that sells handmade looms that work better with thicker yarn. Bonus! So I ordered one and it came in yesterday. And this is the loom. This is gorgeous. Absolutely. It is handmade, and the little numbers and the little arrows you can see actually show you the directions of what you're supposed to be doing and where you're supposed to be going. Absolutely love it. And this also is a really, really cute little touch. And also the way it's constructed, I really like it. Definitely. I really like it. I can appreciate handmade things. This is actually native cherry hardwood, which I think is really cool. And these are steel pins. Basically, they're little nails, granted, because this was handmade, some of them are slightly crooked, but you know what? It works. I am not judging. I'm just saying it was handmade, and I can appreciate that. That's fine. I'm not being, too judgmental about that. I love this thing. I've been playing with it since yesterday, and I've been tearing right along, and I really love it because I tried it with worsted weight yarn. It works so well, and in fact, I think it works even faster than the Zoom Loom, believe it or not. In spite of the Zoom Loom's name, this, I think it works even faster. And that's for several reasons, which I will get into. This, I love, and I paid for it with my own money. I was not sponsored in any way. And also, I did not get any sort of discount or anything like that. No, I went in, anonymously and purchased it. And, so this is my unsolicited opinion that I'm giving to you guys. I would totally recommend one, especially if you are a fan of worsted weight yarn, as I am. It's predominantly what I use because it's the most readily available weight of yarn I have found. And the only drawbacks, which I will get into, the main one for me was the price. It is handmade and it is crafted, it's not like somebody took a discarded picture frame and stuck nails into it, with the really big circle heads on it and just said, here you go. No, this to me, this is well crafted, and I believe that this is durable enough that I'm going to get tons of usage out of it. So I can justify the cost, okay? I can overlook a lot of things if I'm really into a product. The cost of this, with the shipping, ran me about $37. No joke. But I can make a lot of justifications because this tool, if it is as good as I think it is, and I really think it is, as far as the durability and the way that it was made, I mean, this thing's solid, okay? This will last me for years. As opposed to something, this I think is still durable, don't get me wrong, And this was about $30 as well. I think it was about $33. And this was about, 37, very comparable in price. But they both have their appeals to them. There are pros and cons to each, and I will get more into that as well. I like to be thorough. I don't want to be long-winded, but I like to be thorough because I know, seeing as how these are over $30, it's a little bit of an investment, and I can appreciate that, So I do want to make sure that you are as informed as I can possibly inform you so that you can come to your own conclusions as to whether or not you want to invest in either of these. Granted, I did a whole run through on this one, but I will be comparing this one to this one because there are, like I said, there are pros and cons and there are things to weigh out between the two. So price, yes, this is a little bit pricey, but I think it's worth the money, personally. So before the shipping, okay, this was $29, okay? Now, the really cool thing about this particular seller, which is, I am so sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, I'm sorry, it's Mielkes Fiber Arts is the seller on Etsy, and these are called Cherry Pin Looms from Blue Butterfly. And I'm going to put a link to the Etsy product in the description box as well, so that if you decide to choose one, that'll help you in your quest. The really cool thing, though, is that there are so many different sizes to choose from, and I think that's a really cool feature. This, of course, is a 4x4, and this is also a 4x4. Now, they also have, I've got lots of notes here, makes it a little easier. The different sizes also affect the different prices, naturally. Smallest size, 2x2, that's tiny. I think that's really cool, especially if you want to do a lot of detail, but you're going to have to make a ton of those squares to do a larger project. So I'm a little dissuaded from going that small. So they've got 2x2, 4x4, 6x6, and this is inches, 8x8, 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, 4x6, 4x8, 6x8, and 12x12. Now, the ones that I might be inclined to get in the future, if I feel like splurging, and if I'm feeling inclined, the ones that I'd be interested in also getting would be the 8x8 and the 12x12. Reasons why, because now this is the other reveal. This is one of the squares that I made with a worsted weight yarn. And this actually, again, no, not sponsored. This is Impeccable brand by Loops and Threads. And they just recently came out with this new colorway. It's called Falling Leaves. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And with this one skein, I was able to make 39 squares. I'm impressed. You get a lot of squares for your yardage. You really do. Who's What Skis? They also have triangular shaped looms as well, 2 inches, 4 inches, 6, 8 inches, and 8 inches. You can also get the looms in walnut. There's international shipping, PayPal, as well as credit card is accepted. I mean, it's really cool. You can find out all of the ins and outs of that information if you go to that site. Now, the ones that I was thinking about getting were maybe the 8x8 and the 12x12 because, well, this square is a 4x4. If you get the 8x8, you could attach 4 of these together and then do an 8 block underneath, an 8-inch block underneath, and then do another checkerboard of 4x4 and then another 8 block. Or if I got the 12x12 inches, I could do a 3x3 block, so it's 9 of these together, and then a 12 block underneath it, and then another 9 block underneath that, and then another 12 block, and so on and so forth. So there are variations. This, however, this size, the 4x4, is great because it's a great stash buster, and I'm a big fan of that. I need all the help I can get. When you get into the bigger sizes, if you want one long continuous thread, then it's not so conducive to being a stash buster. You really have to think about, do you have enough yarn? So I'm going to get more into the pros and cons as well, okay, between the two of the different looms. So I'm going to get into that now. All right, so now as far as the pros and cons between the two, okay, they are very similar in price, so that's neither here nor there. As far as other pros and cons, okay, now this example with the Zoom Loom, okay, the pins, there are no heads on the top. There are no little nodes or anything like that. I am sorry, the focus keeps going in and out. I apologize. But when you're removing your square from the loom, it comes right off very cleanly, very neatly. Also, this little bit right here, this will hold your yarn as you're doing your winding and so forth, and you don't need a slip knot or anything like that. So those are two big bonuses. Yes, this is very pretty in its way. It's more ergonomic. The sloping of the interior edge here makes it a little bit easier. It's lightweight. Yes, there are some pros and cons. This has the directions on it with sort of raised numbers and arrows and things, which is cool. This has them burnt right in. Now, this one, of course, does not have the notch in here, okay? Also, these pins do have some slight heads, as you can see at the top. Now, they're not that detrimental. It does take a little bit more fiddling to get the finished woven piece off of here. A little bit more fiddling, but I can overlook that. That's okay. I would have been happier if it were more flush and more easy to get them off, but it's almost like splitting hairs at that point. As far as not having a notch in here or even an extra nail in here so that you could wrap the yarn around and then start something to secure it, you really don't need it. And I promise I will be doing a tutorial on how to use this, in the near future. I promise I will. Don't get me wrong. But I wanted to wait on doing the tutorial until I got this and tried it out so that I could further inform you as to, again, the pros and the cons and so on and so forth. Now, another big difference between these two, the number of pins, believe it or not. Now, let me see if I can get the alignment right here. Okay, the number of pins is actually a little bit different. There are more on the Zoom Loom than on the blue butterfly loom. In fact, there are several sets more on this one because, as you can see, we've got our two here, then 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, I'm going at the top here. Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, and then we have the set of 4. And then over here, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of 3 pins. So there's a lot more weaving to be done on this particular loom, which is also what means it means that it takes a little bit longer to do all of the weaving of the threads and so forth. This one has a lot less as far as the number of pins, so the weaving goes faster, okay? Again, pros and cons, okay? However, in spite of the fewer number of pins, it still does make a substantial little square. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that if you make squares on the Zoom Loom and then you make squares on this loom, they won't match because with the number of different pegs, see these loops up at the top, okay? These loops are where those 3 pins are, okay? Now, since there are more pins on the Zoom Loom, you're going to have more of these bumps on the Zoom Loom squares, fewer on the blue butterfly. So you wouldn't be able to take squares from one and squares from another and combine them together. I really don't think you'd be able to do it. If you can, more power to you. But logistically, I don't think it would work, okay? So that's another thing to consider. So if you have one or the other, you can't really hybridize the two together as far as the product. Something to keep in mind, okay? Now, as far as stitching them and making them and stitching them together, it works really well. It works really easy. In fact, like I said, I got this only yesterday in the afternoon, started playing around with it. I made 39 squares with just this one size skein, and I stitched together a block of 25. Isn't this gorgeous? No, I didn't sew all of my ends together. I know, I'm naughty. But this, I think, is stunning, in my opinion. Now again, my sewing is not brilliant. I will not say that my sewing is brilliant, but give you a close-up here. No, my sewing is not brilliant, okay? I admit that. However, this is my first project done with one of these looms, and so I'm cutting myself some slack, all right? I'm not going to be like, this isn't good enough. Well, you got to start from somewhere, right? Right. So also I figured out how to do, I believe it's the mattress stitch in order to stitch the squares together so there isn't this unsightly ridge. So you could either do a whip stitch to join them together, you can crochet them together, you can do the mattress stitch to join them together. There are a lot of different options, okay? But just the fact that getting this yesterday and able to do all of these squares, not only making them, but joining them together in, less than 24 hours. Wow. I'm impressed, It's very user-friendly. It does come with some instructions, some hand-drawn diagrams and so forth. It comes with a a pattern for an eyeglass case, and it does also come with a 5-inch Susan Bates needle as well. Personally, I like the needle that came with the Zoom Loom more because it's 6 inches, if I'm not mistaken, and it makes it a lot easier to get across when you're actually weaving, because this is the 6-inch one, as you can see. You have a little bit more wiggle room. So I like the longer needles personally. You could use the 5-inch, it works, it's fine. I like using a longer needle. That's one of the small drawbacks, again, to the Blue Butterfly loom. But I love it, and I would totally recommend it. And I think it's going to get a lot of use. I really do. Very excited that I'll be able to use my worsted weight yarn and come up with God knows what. I'm very excited. I'm very much looking forward to playing around with this and showing you in a future video on how to do the warping and the weaving and the joining and everything. I would very much like to do that, but I wanted to really give this product its due and to show you that there are options out there. There are alternatives. And like I said, I'm going to put the link to the Etsy seller in the description box down below. I would recommend it. If it's within your price range, I would totally recommend it. I really like it, and I only stand behind products that I actually believe in and, that I actually like. I have nothing to gain by using subterfuge or trying to be like, oh, buy one of these and your, dreams will come true. No, I think it's cool. Bottom line, I think it's cool. And I think you might like it too. I think it's worth a try. And so I think that pretty much covers it, please let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the little thumbs up button. If you have any questions, comments, do so in the comment section down below. If you haven't hit subscribe already, please do so as well, because I try to post videos as often as I can. and that way you'll be in the know if you're subscribed. So listen, my dears, until next time, I want you all to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.